Hi, I'm Chad. I'm the owner of Power Brakes. I designed this game changer for ease of operation and safety. Even though we do have the best warranty in the industry, there still requires some maintenance on these. So we're going to talk about maintenance and why we've done a few things on these brakes. They've been out there for a while now. It's time to do some maintenance. A lot of pictures I see when you do your install, the cable is going up here back to the boat somewhere. We designed it to where we put these little zip tie holes in. So you run your cable through here. If you don't want it through here, you can run off to the side, but if you zip tie it right to the bottom, it keeps it safe, keeps everything good. And then I've seen pictures where people's not using this little plastic key under the set screw. This plastic key is what protects that shaft from that screw, from the tightening screw. It goes in there, and then it's a buffer. Keeps that shaft from turning. The biggest deal that you want to do is when you latch it and you're having to push this down to latch it, we put grease on this pin before it ships out. So every so often, if it starts getting hung up there, it's not closing easy, put your little grease, Vaseline, dielectric grease, anything on that little pin, and it'll latch perfect every time. So when your brakes start getting kind of wobbly, kind of loose, we design quite a bit of flex in our mounts to be flexible. So when you hit a stump or a rock, it'll flex off of it instead of break your breakaway pin. That's your first line of safety, is the flex in it. We don't want anything just rock solid rigid. We want it to move. And if it gets hung up, it won't bounce off of it. Then your breakaway pin is going to break and rotate your motor up over it. So other than the flex that's in there, if it gets pretty sloppy, there's a few things we need to talk about and to address on maintenance. Okay, so when they got loose and you start tightening it up, I would every other trip, or once a month, whenever you want to, I just go through and with a 5/32 Allen wrench, these set screw or these countersinks, I just make sure they're good and tight. Those cause most of the movement. We Loctite them, but it's still stainless to aluminum. And going down the road, as I sit there and bounce, they're going to loosen up. I just make sure everything's as tight as you can get it. And then these other ones, they'll get loose too. They're a 3/16 and a 1/2 inch wrench. This one don't ever loosen up, but these here, I just make sure they're tight. And you can tighten them pretty good. If you tighten these really tight, I don't think they'll ever lock it down. But if it gave some tension on it, it'd be best. But they'll back off a little bit. We use the best stuff: nylon lock nuts, stainless steel shoulder bolts. So they're designed where you can't tighten them too tight, so you can really bear down on it. And these two up here, make sure every bolt's tight. Your mount bolts, everything, because going down the road, being on the water won't loosen them up, but going down the highway will. And if you get some wear parts, like these angles here, the bases, these holes will egg shape and wear out over time, over highway time. Like I said, the water won't hurt them, it's the highway travel. And you have to travel a lot with it. I'm talking about the guides that travel an hour to different lakes every day. The tournament guys always on the highway. These bases here will wear because they're all aluminum. Everything's aluminum with stainless hardware. So you got soft metal on the hard metal, so something's going to give eventually. We're going to start having the wear parts on the website for sale. Just stuff like that to keep you going. And then we're going to talk about the breakaway system. All right, we're going to talk about the breakaway. This pin right here is your breakaway. It's a 1/8 inch by 2.5 inch cotter pin. And if you use it a bunch, it will waller that hole out, and these will be loose. You see right now, brand new, they're tight. So when they waller out, you can go up a size if you want to a 5/32. But what I recommend is just moving over 1/4 inch or so and drilling a new 1/8 inch hole. You can drill 5 holes in that if you want, and just put a new pin in a new hole, and it'll tighten it back up. But once you get to where you're out of space, you need a new cap, just holler at us. We'll get you a new cap, a new channel. Breakaway, it'll only work if you use the cotter pins. If you put bolts in it, it won't work. You'll break a shaft. Which some people, they don't want it to move. They don't want to break away. They put bolts in it, and that's fine. Just know that the shaft is yours. It's really the breakaway is so simple. That's really all there is. All right, so let's talk about the level. Once you mount your brake, and this is not level. I'm not going to level it. We just got on device right now, but your transom is usually on like a 70-degree level. When these are deployed, we want these arms parallel with the water. And so we put adjustments in our base where you can level your arms. And these holes they're a machine fit. Our bolts that we use are shoulder bolt, and we have it within 0.002 of tolerance there, so we don't have much wiggle. So try real hard not to open that hole up to make the bolt go in easier. It's a tight fit. We lube the bolts up with anti-seize or axle grease to get them in, and we pre-ream every hole so we know they'll fit without any drilling. But it's a task. You gotta and don't beat it in with a hammer. You can tap it in, but just don't beat it in, because it's aluminum and it's machine fit to keep all the slack out. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is the cable. When you receive your brake, this cable is too long to use. But we don't know where you want to clamp the cable, because you can't let it drop in the water. You'll be fishing out with your net. So we leave it long, but I'm going to show you how to set it. So we have a hole through this clamp. The cable goes through there, and then you put this crimp on it and loop the crimp back. And then you're going to tighten that loop up as tight as you can get it, so it don't take up much space. About like that's fine. And then any kind of wire cutters, crimpers, just put a few little indentions in that aluminum, and that cable won't come out. Just like that. But you'll want to set this. I didn't want to ruin my cable, so I cut it. But regular wire pliers will cut the cable like that. You'll want to set this cable to where you're going to tie it off to when these are deployed. If you keep it too long, you can't deploy them very easy. So you want them short enough to where you can pick the brake up and lock and latch, but you also want to get a little pressure off of it when you kick the latch to let it down. You don't want to be all stretched out. So figure out where you want them and do your cables. Just don't do it where it's a hassle. These things are made to be a lot easier for you. So set yourself up for success. So I get a lot of questions on how deep I run my motors. I run mine as deep as I possibly can. Even when I'm in stumps, I still run them deep. I just trust my breakaway system. But some people like to run them up shallow. If you're not, these are so powerful. If you're not a foot down in the water, you're going to get a lot of cavitation. You're going to get a lot of sound when you kick them on. So we run them deep. And this brake's straight on. Most of them are canted a little bit, so the prop misses. You don't want it too high where your prop's going to hit the wire or hit the arm. If you're fishing some real shallow water, you might have to adjust them up high where that motor's up here, and you'll have to turn them out to stow your brakes. But I run them full depth all the time, and I never adjust mine. But there is adjustments. You loosen this screw, loosen this screw. This is your depth adjustment collar, and you put it wherever you want. Raise your shaft up, but run them deep is the best deal for sound and brakes.